So if we rush through with the next part of the paper, uh, give me a 1 minute to study my page, right? How to recognize fraud and how to prevent. We need to how to. First question is how to recognize the fraud, right? First question is how to recognize the fraud and how to prevent the fraud. We want to recognize and prevent. After the fraud is happening, we are going to prevent. Well, identification, right? The fraud and audit. Auditors are not designed to detect fraud. Goal determining whether the FS financial statement is free from material misstatement. Free from material misstatement. Auditors test only a sample fraction of some transaction because the external auditing carried out by based on the sample basis. That is why we are saying that audit is not provide absolute assurance. Instead of it provides a reasonable assurance. Reasonable assurance is a higher level of assurance, not an but not an 100% assurance. We are saying positively. Positively. These financial statements do not contain or the presented fairly or do not contain material misstatement likewise, right? Auditors must be aware of the potential of fraud, discuss how fraud could occur, deliver into suspicious of observation and report them because starting point to up to the ending point, the auditors, the ending point is what? Audit report. So under the auditing, second year, first semester, and third year, first semester, you will learn that I'm not going to repeat those, right? Red flags. You have fraud red flags, right? Significant changes in lifestyle, new ways because you are every day you are wearing new clothes and you are purchasing high value items like suddenly, not significant change means suddenly it's changing, right? Previously, you don't have enough money to travel to day utilities. By now, you are coming cabs and likewise, like every day you are wearing new clothes. Sometimes it can be a fraud red flag. So the indications of the fraud indication of the fraud, right? Addiction, you are addicting something. Addiction, there is addiction for that. Gambling, drug addiction, infidelity, criminal background is also there. Your criminal background are there. Chronic legal problems, dishonest behavior, be it the system you are breaking the common rules, dissatisfaction with the job, always you are dissatisfied. Right? Work habits of fraudsters. Hmm? The work habits of the fraudsters, justifying poor work habits, desperately trying to meet performance goals, refusal to swap job duties, you are not rotation, job rotation is not you are accepting, right? Swap mean exchange. Consistently at work in off time, early or late, never absent. Consistently at work in off time, early and late, never absent. You are every day coming. Overprotective of certain documents, poor sharing, avoid documentation because share කරොත් මාට්ටු වෙනවා, right? Potential transaction, red flags. What are the red flags of the unusual transaction, right? Shell transaction, unusual timing, too frequent or infrequent, unusual amount, too much or too little, unusual participant involves unknown or closely related parties, voided checks or recipients with no explanation. Always you are avoiding, canceling. The insufficient supervision, pattern of adjustments to account, different address for same vendor, vendors or similar names, right? Fraud control types. There are three types: prevention, detection, and correction, right? Corrective control. Here you want to identify this diagram. Before that, this is a prevention. No? Before means it's prevention. We are walakkano, right? Prevention, segregation of duties. Who are there is a two. You are processing the payment. The bank is preparing by one. One another. එතකොට වා කරන මොනවාරි වගේ fraud එකක් මොනවාරි bank එක හදන එකට මාට්ටු වෙනවා. දෙකම එක්කෙනා කරොත් මෙයා හොරෙන් සල්ලි transfer කරන මොකද JE එකක් හරි මොකක් හරි බිලක් create කරගෙන මේ enter කරගන්න පුළුවන් නේ. ඒකට මාට්ටු වෙනවා. Ethical culture, internal control, physical and data security, authorize password, etc. CCTV cameras දාලා තියෙනවා. Sign documents, authorize කරන vouchers, right? Vouchers approve කරන්න ඕනේ. Vouchers වලට sign කරන්න ඕනේ, right? Fraud education, employee support program, background checks. මේක තියෙනවා සමහර කම්පැනි වල අම්මා තාත්තා අපේ background එකත් පොඩක් check කරලා බලනවා, right? Detective controls. What are the detective controls, right? There are some detective controls as well. What are the detective? Time of fraud, right? Time making. Fraud anonymous hotline, surprise audits, surprise cash count, mandatory vacation, 7 days leave. In BOC, it has 7 days leaves for executives, right? Compliant of fraud investigation, monitoring activities. Always surprise audits. It is the best way. Cash count, petty cash part count surprise. Corrective means punishment, amended control, employee bonding, fidelity insurance. Those are the there. Techniques to discourage fraud. Techniques. What are the technique to discourage fraud? Uh, so here you can see key elements because as per the fraud diagram, so you know that there are three factors. There is opportunity, right? Segregation of the duty in order to discourage the fraud. You are segregate, checking and balance, job rotation, physical security asset, CCTVs, background check, mandatory vacation, examine the required documentation. More rationalization mean train in policies and procedures, policies and procedures. Policy enforcement, management models, ethical behavior, customer vendors, employee shareholders, ethical behavior. Motivation means realistic job expectation, adequacy pay. You are paying sufficient amount to the employees. Compensate the employees, training and job duties. Segregation of the duties. Authorize, approve, originate, double check, verify, distribution. Segregate SOD is the must. Compensation control when segregation of duties is not possible. Use audit trials, transaction log, reconciliation, exception reporting, supervisory and independent review, segregation of the duties. Don't ignore red flags, they might mean nothing, but then again. Financial statement frauds, because the frauds are three types, no? You asset misappropriation, the common one, asset misappropriation, asset misappropriation, FS fraud, financial statement fraud, and what is the that? Corruption. Allah corruption. FS fraud, financial statement frauds, you can see here, right? Revenue accounts receivable frauds, inventory cost of goods fraud, understated liability, concealing liabilities and understated expenses. Expenses you're understating. Overstating asset, overall mispresentation, right? Yeah, you can see revenue related financial statement fraud. What are the revenue related frauds? By far, the most common account manipulated when preparing financial statement fraud is revenue and the account receivable. Night asset, credit sales. AR debit, revenue is credit. Revenue. Revenue is income account. Asset is a account receivable is asset type of accounting. Asset, right? Current asset. Second one is you are overstating the inventory, right? Overstating inventory. The second most common way to commit financial fraud is overstate inventory. Beginning inventory, goods available for sale. Ending inventory is high. Cost of sale is low. Your income. The gross profit is GP is high. GP margin is high. මොකද අවසාන තොගේ වැඩි කියන්නේ ක්ලෝසින් ස්ටොක් එක විකුණු පිරිවේ අඩුයි. විකුණු පිරිවේ අඩුයි. විකුණු පිරිවේ අඩුයි කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ දල ලාභය වැඩි. Right? Clear? Clear. Right? Understating liability frauds. You are concealing, not recording the account payable, AP is na record current and not recording accrued liabilities, not recording unearned revenues, recording unearned revenues and earned as earned, not recording warranty as service provisions, not recording loans, not recording contingent liabilities. Actually, contingent liabilities are disclosing, huh? Not recording. Those are the stuff. Then we have mm, asset overstatement fraud, overstatement of current asset, marketable securities, overstating pension asset, capitalizing the assets amount that should be expensed, failing to record depreciation amortization, overstating asset through mergers and acquisition, overstating inventory and receivable covered earlier in receipt. Disclosure frauds. There are three categories of disclosure fraud. What are the three categories? Overall, representation about the nature of the company, its products, usually made through news reports, interviews, and annual reports. Misrepresentation in the management decision and other non-financial statement section of the annual report. Misrepresentation in the footnotes. FSA footnotes in notes. Disclosures of management are key milestone. ඒවා මේවා manipulate කරනවා, right? Thanks. So now we are going to discuss another, I would say, another important topic, right? The Certified Fraud Examiner's report. So if we rush through with the content, give me 1 minute to switch on that. So welcome back again. If we go through with our the LMS uploaded presentation, so the Certified Fraud Examiner's report, how the occupational fraud committed. You need to read those stuff. Collectively, in the 13th section of the report to the nations, we have analyzed more than 20,000 cases of occupational fraud. Our research shows that there are clear categories and patterns in the way the fraudsters preparate their schemes. To illustrate the organization of these categories and patterns, Figure 3 provides a taxonomy of occupational fraud schemes. This occupational fraud and abuse classification system as a fraud tree helps to provide a better understanding. So here categories of we can identify there are three categories. Occupational fraud schemes fall into three prime categories. Asset misappropriation, it can be corruption, and the FS frauds. Figure 2 shows the frequency because the most frequent one is asset misappropriation. Asset misappropriation, if I not mistaken. Yes. 89% it is asset misappropriation. You can see here. And 48% it is corruption. And 5% is the financial statement fraud. Categories of occupational fraud. What are the categories? Can be tested. Here, occupational fraud scheme fall into three prime categories: asset misappropriation, corruption, and financial statement frauds. Figure 2 shows that the frequency and median loss of each these categories. Asset misappropriation cases involves an employee stealing or misusing the employing organization resources. It means that asset misappropriation cases involve an employee stealing or misuses the employing organization resources. This is by far the most common category of the occupational fraud, occurring in 89% of the cases in our study. These cases also tend to cause the lowest median loss at USD 120,000 per case. Nearly half the cases in our study, 48% involve some form of corruption. It is form of the corruption. Form of the corruption. You can see 48 involve corruption. These cases cost a median loss of $200, $200,000 per case. Financial statement fraud in which the preparator intentionally caused a material misstatement or omission in the organizational financial statement. Uh, Financial statement or omission of the organized financial statement, where the least common category 5%, but the great median losses. The occurrence of the asset misappropriation is high, but the impact is low. Secondly, corruption, it's up to some extent, but FS fraud is low, but the impact is high because it dilute the many parties' decision making. So the corruption, you can see conflict of interest, bribery, invoice kickbacks. You are corrupting to invoices, right? Bid rigging, sales schemes, conflict of interest, purchasing schemes, illegal gratuities, economic extortion, asset misappropriation, cash, you are thefting cash, theft of the cash receipt, skimming, cash currency, fraudulent disbursement, inventory, all the other asset, misuse, currency, financial statement fraud, net worth, timing difference, excess revenue, concealed liabilities, improper asset valuation, improper disclosure, net worth, timing difference, understated revenue, overstated liabilities, and improper asset valuation, improper disclosures. Yes, it means profit high, corruption is secondly high, financial statement fraud is low. So I think this report is very much important, right? Go through it. So that is the tune, and later, there's another part. I think the second part. If I go through with your LMS page, model page. If I go through with your Mood LMS page, you can see here the Cal page. And the first one is from the introduction to the forensic accounting. Here we the report to the nation we discuss fraud and fraud schemes. The second part, fraud and fraud schemes, part two. Is the part one. Here you can see fraud and fraud schemes, part one, and fraud and fraud schemes, part two. Where is that? Part two. Okay. So I'm not going to elaborate each and every one. So you can see effect of the finance statement frauds. You can see who commit the finance statement fraud, senior management, mid and low and organized criminals. Why senior management will overstate the business performance? Why there is a reason. You can even think and write, right? Now you are in third year. Why senior management? To meet the personal performance criterion, because sometimes they may compensate it based on the company's performance. The bonuses should provide only they meet the relevant targets to trigger performance related compensation or earning out. I told you to support the stock price anticipation of a merger acquisition or sale in a personal stock holding to show a pattern of growth to support plan offering or sale of the business. These are the possible stuff, right? Okay. So nextly, we are going why senior management will understate to defer surplus earning into the next accounting period. You are timing differences to take right of big bath to take all possible write-offs is one big bath. Now the future earnings will be consistently high in order to stability maintain your profits. You are doing this one. So the method of fictitious revenue timing difference, improper asset valuation, comes in liability, improper disclosures. Later you can read. I'm not going to read each and every one. Financial statement analysis, vertical, horizontal, and ratio analysis. So any questions, if you have, please. Inventory valuation, improper asset value, account receivable, business combination, fixed asset. Red flags, unusual growth. Yes, right? Yeah, unusual growth. Unusual growth in the inventory resident days. Allowance for bad debts, excess and obsolete inventory. Unusual change in the relationship between fixed asset and depreciation. If the fixed asset is high, normally depreciation into high, but slow. With FAR not purchased, fakely you are doing. Adding asset while competitors are reducing their capital. These are the some red flag indication of the frauds, right? Thank you and have a nice day to you all. Goodbye.